Okay, this is the review sheet, page 2. All right. So we'll start with number 6 on page 2, which is a tree diagram. Okay, it's slightly different from the tree diagrams we worked on at the beginning of the course because it has probabilities written in it. But once you understand the logic, it's quite straightforward. So it's a tree diagram. The RTA is studying the relationship between nationality and type of car driven, and we're supposed to use this tree diagram to answer the questions. So basically, the RTA surveyed drivers, and 15% of their sample was Emirati, 35% of the people they surveyed were British, and 50% of them were Indian. Okay, and then of those Emiratis, 75% drove a 4x4, 25% drove a salon car, 45% of the Brits drove a 4x4, 55% of the Brits drove a salon, and then 20% of the Indians drove a 4x4, 80% of the Indians drove a salon car. So we then have some basic questions. We're supposed to use the probability table to answer them. So the first question, what's the probability the selected person is Emirati and, there's our magic word, has a 4x4? Okay, so if we look, well, the chance of being Emirati is 15%, and 4x4, 75%. So, you know, it's the same sort of problem we did a lot of at the beginning of the semester. We want the probability of Emirati and 4x4. Okay, so that's just going to be probability of Emirati, which is 0.15. We know that and means times. Okay, and then the probability of Emirati and 4x4, okay, 0.75. So we just multiply those out then, and we're going to get 0.1125. Okay. So the next question, the probability the person selected is Indian and has a salon car. Well, probability of Indian and salon. My writing is atrocious with this stylus. Okay, probability of Indian is 0.5. So, and then and salon car, 0.8. Okay, and then if we multiply those out, we're going to get 0.4. So there's approximately 40% chance that a person selected from this sample would be Indian and driving a salon car. Okay, the next question, what's the probability that the person selected drives a 4x4? Well, if we look at this, you know, there are 3 different nationalities driving a 4x4. Yeah? There are Emiratis driving 4x4. Okay, so we could have Emirati and 4x4. We could have British and 4x4. Or we could have Indian and 4x4. So there I said the magic word. We could have Emirati 4x4 or British and 4x4 or Indian and 4x4. And you should remember that or means plus. Okay, so what we've got to do is we've got to multiply these across and then add them. Okay, so we're going to multiply 0.15. We've actually already done the first one, haven't we, in the first problem, but I'll write it out anyway. 0.15 times 0.75, that's going to be the probability of Emirati and 4x4. Then we're going to add that to the probability of British and 4x4. So 0.35 times 0.45. And then we're going to add that to the probability of Indian and 4x4. So 0.5 times 0.2. Okay, I'll just quickly check to make sure my numbers are correct, and you should do the same thing on the exam, because it's very easy to make mistakes, isn't it? Okay, and if you multiply those out, this is the final answer. Okay? There's approximately 37% chance that the person we are going to randomly select drives a 4x4. Okay, and then the last question, I kind of went from a slightly complicated question to a quite straightforward question. What's the probability the person selected is British? Well, when we started looking at this, we explored these probabilities. 15% of the people are Emirati, 35% British, 50% Indian. So the probability of British is 35%, or 0.35. Okay? So that question is quite straightforward. It's just an information transfer question. Okay, if we look down, question 7, that is a theory question. Okay, so as I stated on the first page video, theory questions, you just need to look at the BB Learn, and I've scanned my answer key to the BB Learn. So that is page 2